Is your apartment looking bland, boring, or basic? Well, we're going to change that. In this video, I'm sharing my top tips, tricks, and of course, renter-friendly DIYs to make your space feel like home. Hi, I'm Alli, and welcome to my channel. And if you have ended up here, then you probably are a renter or a homeowner who is looking for temporary ways to transform your space where you either don't want to make that commitment or you rent and you're gonna have to move out and put everything back the way it was before you leave. And that is totally what I specialize in here on my channel. So in this video, I have compiled my top 25 tips, tricks, and DIYs to transform your space for 2025. We have a lot of things to talk about in today's video, including some brand new tips that I have never shared on my channel before. So let's get right into it. I wanted to start out this video with a tried and true DIY that you can do in your rental, and probably my favorite one that I did last year, and that is peel and stick tile. Now I know this is a basic one to start on, but this one had the hugest impact to my apartment because it took my really dark, boring kitchen and added in some personality and flair, as well as a much needed pop of color. I hands down recommend doing this project in your apartment if you are a renter. Honestly, even if you own your home and you're not happy with the backsplash or don't have a backsplash, this is such a great and easy project to do. And I 100% am going to be doing this again, either in future apartments or in some other spaces around my current apartment. Now, tip 2 is kind of bouncing off that first one, and that is if you're going to be doing peel and stick tiles, then you need to apply some sort of backing to them onto the wall that is actually removable. I find with the peel and stick tiles that the adhesive is so sticky that you're going to cause damage to your wall, and quite possibly if you're putting this over tile, you could cause some damage to that tile as well. And even if it doesn't cause damage, I know it's going to be a headache to remove with that adhesive. So if you are a renter or if you don't want to totally commit to it, removable contact paper or a removable shelf liner or even some peel and stick wallpaper is your go-to. You put that up on the wall first because this doesn't have a super strong grip, and you're going to easily be able to peel down those peel and stick tiles along with that backing that you put on first, and it's going to be like nothing happened. I will be sure to link the exact product that I use because it's tested, tried and true. I have used it multiple times for multiple renter projects. That will be down in the description box, along with pretty much any other thing that I mentioned throughout this video. This next tip is one that I kind of imply or kind of sort of mention on my channel as I'm doing room makeovers, but never have sat down and talked about it. And that is using interior design hacks and tricks to create optical illusions in your space to either make it feel bigger or taller or more bright and airy. This is so essential if you live in an apartment or a small space. For example, in the hallway, I added a light colored runner. Now this instantly brightened up the hallway. In the kitchen, I already mentioned those tiles, but placing those tiles with a vertical pattern, which is not only super trendy right now, made the kitchen feel taller, a little bit more open, and kind of like less enclosed. That's kind of how it was feeling before giving the kitchen its makeover. Some other ways that you can do this to brighten up your space: I used a lighter color peel and stick wallpaper in the bathroom because it doesn't have a lot of lighting, and also stuck with a light colored shower curtain to make up for the fact that there is no direct light above the shower. That way, no dark colored shower curtain is blocking visibility in the shower. So there's so many different ways to do this. I honestly feel like I could make an entire video on how to hack your space using some of these tips and tricks to make your apartment feel a little bit more comfortable and inviting. So let me know if you want to see even more on this tip. I feel like I could talk about it all day, but we have a lot to talk about, so let's keep moving on to our next tip. Next, I want to talk about a product that I found last year that I'm definitely going to be using more this year, and it is the 3M claw hook. Now, I've definitely used plenty of 3M command strips around my apartment, pretty much everywhere. Those things can do it all, but this claw clip is a game changer for renters because it can hold up very large, heavy objects with minimal damage to the wall. This is so key because not only are you not putting giant holes in the wall by adding a screw and an anchor, which a lot of apartments do not allow, you don't actually need to have a drill to use this product, which makes it even more accessible. And I can't believe that it can hold the weight of a big mirror, so I definitely recommend these little hooks for sure. And they're so easy to just spackle over the tiny little holes that it leaves behind when it is time to remove it and move out. I know personally a lot of apartments actually prefer you use small nail holes or push pin holes instead of command strips, so I think that this is an excellent product. A really small thing that you can do in your apartment to make a big difference is change out light bulbs. This one might sound pretty obvious, but I feel like a lot of people don't think about the light bulbs when they're moving into a space. The color of your lighting, the brightness of your lighting totally makes a difference. You're gonna want more of a white light, a daylight in kitchen and bathroom spaces, and you're gonna want warmer lighting in bedrooms and living spaces because that's gonna give you that cozier, more comfortable vibe. For example, in this apartment, in the bathroom over the vanity and in the bathroom itself, I swapped out the clear vanity bulbs for some white ones. Not only did this kind of disguise the outdated light fixture a little bit, I also took it from a warm lighting to a daylight lighting, which makes it so much easier to get ready in the morning because I can actually see what I'm doing and I can see my hair and makeup a little bit better as I'm getting ready. On the topic of light fixtures, I will forever recommend finding ways to cover up some of those ugly fixtures in your apartment that you don't love. I'm talking about that ugly ceiling light that we pretty much all have and we pretty much all know. With just a little bit of some DIY, you could totally hide and transform an ugly, outdated light fixture. And I recommend doing this for sure. I love the basket trick. It's totally my favorite one because it's so easy. And it looks so good. It looks like such an expensive light fixture when really I just took a round basket, cut the bottom off, and hung it up from the ceiling. I totally recommend this one. Now let's talk about tension rods, which I think are a totally slept on renter-friendly product. I think that a lot of people think tension rods should only be reserved for holding up a shower curtain, but that is totally not true. In this apartment, I used a tension rod to hang up a curtain to hide the entrance to the closet in the bedroom space here, because who wants to see into a very cluttered closet? At least me. I am very cluttered when it comes to my closets, and I wanted to hide it. So I was able to put that tension rod up, hang that curtain, no damage whatsoever to the walls when it is time to move out, which is perfect. But of course, you could also use the tension rod to block off any kind of space that you don't want to see or that is missing a door. I love it for hanging cafe rod curtains to add a little extra privacy into a kitchen or a bathroom. I also think that you could use it just to hang curtains in a window if you're not comfortable with drilling holes into the wall to install a curtain rod. To me, that's always a must in an apartment. I need blackout curtains in order to sleep, so I will always 100% drill holes into the wall to hang curtains in my apartment. That's just a non-negotiable. Otherwise, I would not be getting any sleep at night. But tension rods are a great way to work around it if you don't want to put holes into the wall. Now my next tip is one that I apply to pretty much every single room makeover that I do in an apartment, and that is working with the existing features. If you take those features that you can't change, like the flooring, the wall color, or even some of the hardware like faucets or something like that in the room, and incorporate them into your design. I have done this every single room, as I mentioned. So let's say that the cabinets are a outdated kind of yellowy blonde wood color. Well, guess what? Now I'm going to be adding some more gold tones or some more yellows and rich tones into a space that are really going to complement those colors. So that way it looks intentional, even though it's not, and you're kind of just working with the things that maybe feel a little bit ugly, but as soon as you start incorporating them into your overall design aesthetic instead of working against them, your space is going to feel instantly more put together. And also bouncing off of that, if you are a renter who moves around a lot, then you might also want to consider investing and spending more money in some nice neutral pieces that are going to go well with a beige or white or gray apartment. No matter where you move, it'll be able to fit in, so you don't have to keep rebuying furniture that kind of clashes or maybe doesn't work. And if you want to see more examples of what I'm talking about right here, my channel is full of them. It's pretty much what my channel is dedicated to, are coming up with these renter-friendly solutions to make your space feel good and look good. So if you haven't yet already, make sure you hit that subscribe button because we have such big plans for 2025, and I just am so excited to tackle more rooms and do more renter-friendly DIY projects and all of that. So you're definitely not going to want to miss it. Okay, next up, let's talk about adding meaningful decor into your space. I think a lot of times when you see interior design or you look up inspiration photos, things are just kind of either generic, not exactly your personal taste, and it's easy to want to emulate those because you're seeing it in a picture, you're seeing it on social media, but that takes a lot of the personalization away from the space, and I feel like 2025 is going to be the year of showcasing your uniqueness in your own home instead of going after big box stores and mass-produced decor items. I am totally in love with thrifting and antiquing and finding really cool pieces to put into my own space that are one of a kind or at least very unique to me, and also they feel like little prizes and little treasures when you thrift or antique something that is going to be put and displayed proudly in a room. But it doesn't even have to be things that you have thrifted. It could be meaningful mementos that you have received from family or friends, family heirlooms, things that reflect your hobbies and interests. For example, in the hallway, my boyfriend Alex and I, we love photography, and the reason that we ended up together was because we started doing film photography together. So we put a display of our film cameras in the hallway, which are just a collection of vintage ones that we've received from family members or just have found that are really cool. And so that's just a really meaningful display piece. That's kind of unique and different, and you don't see that every day in somebody's home. And I think that's what this year is totally going to be all about. Another way that you can do this is by incorporating wall art. I always go to Etsy. Etsy has so many digital downloads that you can get for a couple of dollars. I mean, sometimes they're even less than that, and you can print them out at like Walmart is usually where I go, but anywhere where you can get larger photo prints, I just print them out and I can put these art pieces into frames and display them throughout my apartment. And the added benefit and bonus of this as a renter is it is so easy to swap out art prints for the seasons, for whatever it might be, if you're just kind of switching things up a little bit, and then you can store them away and they don't take up a ton of space. I love this as a tip for holiday decor. I did that for Christmas time in this apartment because I'm going to be able to take those pictures out of the frame, store them away until next Christmas, and just have the pictures that I've been displaying year round back on display, and it just looks really, really good and does not take up a lot of space because we all know storage space is so limited in an apartment. So that brings me to my next one, which is utilizing some of the maybe not as thought of storage space, and that is under the bed. 100% I will never have an apartment where I can't store stuff under the bed. I love those little under the bed containers. They are perfect. I put in my out of season clothes there, or even I have a bin under my bed to store my wrapping paper and gift giving supplies. And it's just really, really nice that I'm able to stow things under the way. They're out of the way. You could put a little bit of some more bigger, flatter items underneath the bed. And to take it a step further, I even DIY'd a really easy bed skirt to cover up that part so you can't see all of the bins under the bed. It makes things look a little bit neater and mimics the look of an upholstered bed frame. And another thing that I recommend you do if you have not tried it yet in your own space is DIY your own furniture, which sounds so crazy and daunting, but I promise there are so many easy ways you can do this, anywhere from just taking an old piece, giving it a new coat of paint. Reupholstering something is actually a lot easier than it looks, or even building things from scratch. For example, I mentioned the bed skirt, but I also made a coordinating headboard. It was such an easy DIY. You can have all of your wood pieces cut down at the hardware store. You could totally make a more simple version without the wings on the side if you made this personally. You really just need a piece of plywood and some batting and some fabric, and you are good to go. It looks awesome, and you have a personalized piece that brings in your style, and you're saving a little bit of money because larger pieces like bed frames and headboards can get a little bit expensive. This next DIY idea is something that I started incorporating into my apartment last year, and definitely going to be probably doing this from now on, and that is framing your mirrors and framing your TVs. I think it's an easy way to elevate a standard builder grade mirror, and it also is a great way to make your TV look more like an art piece versus just kind of like a big black rectangle sitting on a TV stand or sitting on a dresser. It's so easy to make. I used power tools to make mine because I have them, but you could easily cut little trim pieces down using a miter box and then attach them together using simply just some wood glue or little corner brackets and tack them up onto whatever you're applying to with some command strips. And for the TV, I actually used elastic, and it's very, very simple. Of course, as I've said, I'll link all of these tutorials and videos and things that I'm mentioning. Those will all be in the description box. Another DIY that I think you should try this year is hiding your wire shelves. I love a good shelf moment in an apartment. It's super nice when they actually do come with the wire shelves because it gives you that extra storage that you might need. But if you are in a situation where you can actually see the wire shelves, like for example, in the bathroom of this apartment, they're not that cute and they're not that stylish. So I took some wood pieces and then some like little front-facing boards, and I attached them together, stained them up, and used it to cover up the wire shelves. And it makes such a big difference, and I definitely will be doing this project again. I actually have a few more spaces in this apartment where that would look really good, and also if I'm in this situation again, I will be doing this in future apartments. Next up is swapping out hardware of your cabinet doors in the kitchen and bathrooms and things like that. This was actually a tip that I mentioned on my want to do list in this video that I made just like this one last year. And so last year I did actually check that one off my list, and I can say it's definitely worth it. It's a pretty inexpensive way to make a major change into your space. It's so easy to swap out the hardware on drawers and cabinets and then just put back the original hardware when it's time to move out. You could take that hardware that you put on to your next place or whatever. And the added bonus is that belt loops and hair tools are no longer getting caught on those standard builder grade drawer pulls that so many apartments come with. And along with that, another project that I really love to do is swapping out towel bars. This was something I honestly didn't think about doing until I was working on the bathroom space, and then realized if I'm gonna be swapping out the knobs, I might as well swap out the towel bars as well. What is great about this is I didn't even have to drill any new holes into the wall. I can install them on the existing holes that were already there for the fixtures that came in the apartment. It was so easy, and it takes seconds to swap it. Just save the original hardware for later and then put it back on when it is time to move out. I have been sharing so many tips and tricks and hacks so far in this video. I really hope you're enjoying them, and if you are, make sure to give this video a like. If you have any ideas for renter-friendly DIYs or hacks that you've done in your space, or even some questions about things that you want to see or maybe need a little bit of help with, Drop that down in the comments. I'll be sure to answer some of those comments, as well as it'd be awesome if other renters and other people, we all kind of joined in the comments section and helped each other solve some of these problems, because renting and decorating a rental can be tough. And I think it's awesome that we're building this community here on Actually Alli DIY where we can talk about this and share some wonderful ideas. Adding this removable arch is definitely another one of my favorite renter-friendly DIYs from 2024 that I am recommending that you do in 2025. It looks so cool. It was so easy to make, and it just totally elevates this little alcove in my bathroom. I've seen this done on a larger scale from some other renter-friendly DIYers here on YouTube, and I really loved what they did. It inspired me to do this in my own space, and I will definitely be doing it again if I ever have the situation where I feel like it would fit. The best part is that after this was made, I painted it to match the colors of the walls in the apartment and simply used a couple of nails to attach it to the wall. So teeny tiny little holes that just need spackled over at move out time. It'll be like I never put this up there, but for the time being, I love the look that this creates. Okay, so this next one may be a little bit controversial, but that is adding pendant lights to add additional lighting into a space. The reason this is controversial is because I did have to drill holes into my ceiling and also put in some anchors as well. They're not really the smallest of holes either. That's gonna be a problem at move out time, but it's worth it to add a little additional lighting into a room that's feeling a bit dark. It totally makes a big difference in my kitchen space over the breakfast bar area or snack bar area. I don't know what it's called. It just makes having a meal there a little bit more enjoyable because you have lighting over your plate. And the best part is, if you search renter-friendly pendant lights here on YouTube, there's a ton of examples of people who have done this using command hooks. If you have a non-textured ceiling, so like a flat, smooth ceiling, you can actually do this without putting any holes into the ceiling itself. If you're not really feeling the pendant lights, well, there is a little bit of another tip or trick that you can take away from them, and that is rechargeable light bulbs. These things are so cool. They are just little tiny light bulbs that actually have a little socket so that you can put them into any standard lamp. These are fantastic for a renter where you maybe need to add some additional lighting where you don't have an outlet that's available. I recommend these for sure. They last for quite a long time. Come with a little remote so that you can change the brightness as well as the color temperature. So I think these are just great. Also, another good place to put them would be if you did like a little lamp on your kitchen counter. You could just put the little bulb in there and you wouldn't have to worry about finding an outlet or taking up a valuable outlet with a lamp, and now you've just added some extra work light to your kitchen. So I totally love these and think they are super great. Those will be linked in the description box. Also, if you do head to the description box, I have linked my Amazon storefront, and on there I update my storefront with various renter-friendly products that I find that I have used in my own space and can totally back and recommend. So there will be a whole place where you could shop my Amazon. That is down in the description box as well. I link that in all of my videos. So if you're ever looking for a product that you see that I mention is renter-friendly, you'll likely be able to find that there. So for my next point, I can't make a video like this without bringing up accent walls. I love creating DIY accent walls. It is just, to me, it's like a renter's best friend because it's minimal work. You're not transforming an entire room. You're not painting an entire room. You're doing just one kind of feature, but that little feature is enough to just kind of elevate a space and make it feel more designed, make it feel a little bit more homey, and totally just change the vibe of a room. Every single accent wall that I have done on my channel, from here in the bedroom to my craft room to the entryway and kitchen, are all removable. They didn't require any painting of the wall. They didn't require any like permanent installation on the wall. I can take them all down. I can take most of the materials with me when I leave to reuse them. But for the time being, they make all the difference in the space. Like, I can't even imagine what it would be without them. And also it's just fun to come up with the ideas and create some of those accent walls. So yeah, I think I need to make like a compilation of just some of the accent wall DIYs. Let me know if that's something that you would be interested in. Now we're gonna move outside for a second because we can't ignore the outdoor space that your apartment likely comes with. So let's talk about the kind of controversial DIY I did, but I would 100% do this again, and that is the patio privacy wall. I built this large-scale patio wall to create a little extra privacy on my patio because my next door neighbors spend a lot of time outside and they always sat in the chair that faced my apartment. Like they pretty much were out there every single day, and so I don't know, I just felt like you could just kind of feel like the awkwardness, like the tension, because like Alex and I, we were trying to eat our lunch or our dinner or whatever, and they're just trying to sit there and do their thing, and it just felt like we were both a little bit rushed because we're like this far apart from each other. So I built the patio wall, and I know I got a lot of hate for it in the comments, but hey, I can say that those neighbors actually approached us after that wall was put up and asked where they could get one too. So I think it is a little bit appreciated. I don't know, but I think it's worth creating a little privacy in your own space because it is the only space that you get outdoors to yourself. And if it's gonna make you feel more comfortable or more likely to use that space, go ahead and put up that little extra bit of privacy. I promise you, you'll really like it and it will make a big difference. Also outside, I totally recommend creating a renter-friendly patio garden or container garden. I installed a little railing planter on the balcony, and this has been great. Not only are you able to grow fresh produce, fresh herbs in your own apartment, I just think there's just something a little bit nice about growing your own herbs or flowers or produce even. You can grow vegetables in a container garden. I think it gives you a little bit more connection to nature and being outside, as well as it's really fun to be able to use them in your own cooking. And I totally just think that it's just a good thing to do as a renter. And I always plant an herb garden every single year. Not every year does it survive the entire summer, but I enjoy it while it's last and while it's growing and try to get the most out of it. So yeah, definitely something to consider for this year as we get into the warmer weather. Adding little tiny storage elements into an apartment can also make a big difference. For example, this stove shelf that I built, so easy to make, doesn't need any sort of power tools, and you're able to add just a little extra something over the stove. You're able to add just a little something extra over the stove to place a little decor item. I know it's not really an ideal spot, or place something there, or even just block so things can't fall down beneath the stove. But I also just think it kind of creates this overall kind of polished, built-in look, even if you're not putting anything on that little ledge. This is just a fun and simple DIY that can really elevate the look of your apartment kitchen, no matter how you use it or the function it might have. I don't know, I just enjoyed making this one and I enjoy the finished look of it in my own space. My next tip is to choose functionality over design. This is a tough one to say because as somebody who really appreciates good interior design and home decor, I do often want to just go for like the really pretty touches and the beautiful features, but you can't really do that all the time in an apartment. For example, in the bathroom area, Alex and I both have our hampers sitting out kind of where you can see them because honestly, if we put them away somewhere, they wouldn't ever be used. And so, you just have to do those little things that are gonna make your life feel a little bit easier, a little bit more convenient. Another place where we applied this concept is over in the entryway. I installed an IKEA shoe cabinet and 2 little hooks on the wall because the coat closet is so far away from the front door that coats and shoes were never gonna make it in there. So I needed a spot right by the door that functioned. It's not super pretty because I'm looking at a ton of coats on the hooks every single day, but hey, at least there's not shoes in the way and coats strewn across furniture and stuff like that. At least they have a designated area that functions and works really well in this apartment. And my 25th tip, which I say is my most important one, if you take away anything into 2025 as a renter, is to not be afraid of making these temporary changes in your space. I promise it's worth it. And putting a little money into something to decorate your space, make it feel a little bit more like home, a little bit more comfortable. It's kind of scary, I get it, because what's your landlord going to think? Well, if you have a landlord, you could totally ask them for permission. I kind of believe in ask for forgiveness instead of permission. And I also don't have like an actual landlord in the traditional sense. I live in an apartment complex, so honestly, they don't really care because they only come in here to inspect it twice a year. And I've never once had a comment in any apartment that I've lived in about the changes that I've made. Because the big thing is you do these changes while you live here, but then you change them back to how it was when you moved in when it is time to move out. So all I'm saying here is just don't be afraid to try things, experiment, add DIY, renter-friendly, removable touches, and make your space feel like yours. You're definitely not going to regret it at the end of the day. So, that was a lot of tips and DIYs and examples, and I really do hope that you found something new in this video, got a little bit of extra inspiration to take into the new year and apply in your own space. Whether you rent, whether you own your home, I think there's always room for some good renter-friendly, temporary DIYs and decor like this. Let me know in the comments which of these were your favorite, and if you want to see some of these tips come together, I'm going to put one of my favorite room makeovers up here on the screen. Thanks so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!